Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangout on Sunday, and I still have Emeka Madunagu and Babajide Kolade Toju in the studio. One of the most essential needs of human beings is shelter, but the dreams of Nigerians to have their own houses is getting taller due to rising costs of building materials. The prices of building materials like cement, sand, planks, reinforcement, and others in cities like Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Akure have gone up by between 60 to 100% in recent months. Let's hear the story in this Journalist Hangout weekend special.
Housing is fundamental to human existence and comfort. Hence, building materials play important roles in the construction industry as they are required to build houses and structures for people to use. These are materials put together in erecting structures. They contribute immensely to the quality and cost of housing, from what is used in the foundation to the materials for roofing and finishing. The construction industry uses a variety of building materials such as cement, sand, granite, iron rods, wooden planks, plaster of Paris POP, glass, concrete block, plumbing materials, tiles, paints, among others. But rising cost of building materials across Nigeria now poses a significant threat to both the construction industry and people aspiring to own houses. Sellers of building materials are worried about the astronomical rise in the price of materials, which they say is about 100% and more now. This is the Ifelodun market in Orile area of Lagos. The market is reputed for selling building materials in large quantities at cheaper prices than elsewhere. Habib Jamil sells reinforcement for a living. He shares his experience in the business.
I've been in this business over 20 years. This type of situation, we have never seen it before. This one is terrible. In those days, if you come here, even without any money, before it's 12 o'clock, you are already laughing. Now, you will be here for a whole month, nothing. Iron rod used to be 120, 150 before. Now, 430 times 2. So, we people that are sellers, we are suffering.
Granite is one of the materials whose price has risen by 100%.
Granite, the price now, what we are experiencing now, honestly, is very, very exorbitant. For a trailer load of granite now, brought to our depot here now, almost 300,000 for like 35 tons truck from Kwadi. But about last year, we are still getting it for 190, 180. You can imagine the increment.
The price of sand is not an exception. It has gone up like the materials mentioned earlier.
The price of a tipper of sand, which is the least, as at now, in the minimum area, let's say within Bariga area, as it is 22,000 naira as of today. In the last a year, it was around 14,000. Immediately after the COVID-19, sand is being dredged from with canoe in some part of our river across the nation. Those ones are the local sand. But that one is being managed as the dredger are going into the river to dredge for the sand. But in the advent of the dredging companies,
a cement seller, Raliat Bakari, blames the COVID-19 pandemic as well as the exchange rate of the dollar to naira for the hike. She says this has stalled too many building projects as some builders can no longer afford to buy building materials.
The price of cement goes up every day. Started last year, getting close to ending of the last year. Started. We started experiencing high rates of changing in price. And we all notice that there is inflation in our economic system right now. I believe there is negligence in the part of our government. They're not looking into the control systems at all. The control systems, I mean, in our control system agency, that are meant to control the prices. So if they are controlling these prices, we'll be able to maintain and sustain. But there is inflation, they are not controlling the price, and so everybody is just adding up their prices.
These are certainly a trying times for many Nigerians due to rising cost of building materials. In Akure, the Ondo state capital, the story is not different as prices of building materials have skyrocketed, leaving many builders to pay through their noses. Cement, which is one of the important materials used in building, is now sold between 3,800 naira and 4,000 naira. Apart from cement, prices of other building materials like tiles, rods, sand, plank, asbestos, among others, have drastically gone up in Akure.
The high price of the cement comes from the major distributor. I'm just a petty distributor in this section. They don't rush as at the time the price was low. As the thing is scarce, they put high price. So as a result, so people patronizing, people reduce.
We can't even predict what will happen next. If you buy at, let's say 1,000 today, there's no assurance that you are getting for that same 1,000 tomorrow. And the effect has been so bad on our markets. We barely make sales these days. We barely make sales.
The prices of building materials in Abuja, the country's capital, has witnessed about 60% increase, putting a lot of burden on both sellers and buyers. Abuja, one of the well-planned cities in Nigeria, is witnessing steady increase in its population as people relocate to the city in search of jobs. This is not surprising, considering the fact that all federal ministries and agencies are headquartered here. Most of those who work in Abuja cannot afford the high cost of accommodation in the capital city and reside in the suburbs. A survey of latest prices in popular building material markets in Abuja shows an uptick in prices. Before now, a bag of cement which used to go for 1,700 naira now sells for between 3,300 to 3,500 naira. Plaster of Paris cement, which sold at 3,200 naira in January, now sells between 4,800 naira to 5,100 naira. 25 by 40 tiles now sells at 1,700 naira, as against 1,200 naira in the past. The price of 40 by 40 tiles has increased from 1,200 naira to 2,400 naira, while the 60 by 60 tiles, which formerly sold for 1,800 naira, now sells for between 3,500 to 4,000 naira. A wide 16mm iron rod, which used to sell for between 2,800 to 3,000 naira, now sells between 7,600 to 8,000 naira. While a wide 12mm, which sold previously at 1,700 and 2,000 naira, now sells for 4,700 naira. A wide 10mm formerly sold at 900 naira has now increased by over 100%. Osita Dim Malowitz has been in the business of tiles for the past 5 years. He says in his 5 years in the business, he has never experienced such hike in cost of building materials.
Before the pandemic, there was one man that he came and took a quotation of what he wants to use for his house. So I gave him the quotation of everything. It amounted to about 3 to 4 million naira. So he said, okay, no problem. He took it. That was around January, before the pandemic issue started around March, I think. He came back, I think July. That was 6 months later or so. That same quotation I gave to him amounted to about close to 1,100,000. That was close to around 5 point something that same thing he was buying. This is how the price is. And even the profit I had at that 4 million naira had to reduce because I had to try to make sure I accommodated. But even at that, the man was feeling the pain. 1.1 million naira.
Like some boys here that is using maybe 200,000, 150,000 to do business. They can't do business anymore because of the increment. Patronage reduced a lot. You can see, just watch in our line. There's, I think, four lines in this our particular section. You can see that nobody, because if they enter, they will ask the price. At the end of the day, they will say, let them wait more, that they don't know how they can purchase this thing.
Meanwhile, the cost of transporting the materials cannot be overstated as it is very significant in driving up prices.
Mainly we are using diesel for the transportation of for the conveying of the goods. And once there is increment in the diesel, so there must be an increment on the fares for the tippers. Lagos Island before, we are charging at the rate of 6,000 naira on each trip, but now they are charging 10,000 naira.
Industry experts have attributed the hike to persistent depreciation of the naira against the dollar.
When you are in a project, within 1 or 2 weeks, the price has changed. So that means that the quantities of yours and the client must be reviewing a contract sum. And this is actually not visible. Honestly speaking, at many sites where professionals, builders are not managing production process, standard construction is obviously going on.
All the stakeholders and the work they are producing, it can ensure that there is integrity in what we're doing. So putting finance first will not be the essence, but this is what we're trying to show them.
It is expected that government would formulate policies that will play down the agitation on the use of imported materials by encouraging research into production of local building materials. Abiola Sholanke, TVC News, Lagos.
Jide, the beauty of it is that even your regular landlord that has built since 1980 is not telling you that things are expensive and is not increasing his house rent at a very, very irrational rate. But let's face it, in Lagos, we have a lot of these companies that are selling landed properties and everything, encouraging people to real estate, encouraging people to be their own landlords. Now, after getting that piece of land, 20 by 60, one plot and everything, what are you going to do with it? With this that Biola has just quoted now?
It's tough. I remember interviewing a Chinese man, the contractor handling the Janaja overhead bridge project in Kogi. And he was lamenting about the high cost of reinforcement. That the high cost of reinforcement itself was like a threat to the project. And he said this whole thing began during COVID. A lot of materials that ought to come into the country could not come in during COVID. So prices went up astronomically. So if at that level, a contractor who has built bridges in some Nigerian cities, including Kano, if he could be lamenting how much more young people who are just trying to make headway in life, who want to build their own houses so that Shylock landlords will not kill them in Lagos and other places. How do those ones get by? Given that you cannot wake up, you can't even plan. If you bought cement, a bag of cement at so amount today, the following day you will be surprised if the price had not gone up by even up to 100%. So it's terrible. In the last 2 years, there were times when people were buying cement for just 1,300 or maximum 1,800. Cement has now gone up to as high as 5,000 naira in some place, depending on where you are buying things, because that's how it is in our country. Transport cost is a big factor in the rise in the cost of goods and services. So you could be buying cement for 3,500 in this town, you go to another place, it is 4,800 or even 5,000. It's extremely tough on our people. Difficult. If a tipper of sand, I had the man that they interviewed saying that a tipper of sand, they used to buy it for 22,000. I mean, they used to buy for 13,000. It's now 22,000. I had another one say that tiles 60 by 60 was 1,800. Now 4,000 naira. I mean, these are huge increases. And reinforcement as well. 12 mm iron rod from 1,700 to 4,000. That's huge. 16 mm from 1,800 to 8,000. 8,000 from 1,800. I mean, how do you describe such astronomical rise, such geometric rise in prices? How do people survive in our country?
Now, when you even look at the materials, now we've not even talked about, finishing, plumbing, conduits. I'm sure those ones.
It's a different project on its own.
Now and you look at it, even somebody that is even the building contractor, because an average builder in Nigeria, you see them, the aim and objective is that they have to get their own. And you, the person paying for the thing, this is going to impact on you.
No, these days you can't just leave people to their own devices. If you're putting up a project, you must find time to be there. Because it's not just the cost. What about the quality? The iron rods, for instance, what is the quality of the iron rods? Okay, the 12 mm we're talking about, 1 ton is supposed to be 93 pieces. But sometimes people could reduce that, and give you like 85 pieces, 80 pieces. Even 16 mm. It's 16 mm, it's a 53 pieces. They could reduce it. To 40 pieces. They are talking about the tiles and all those things, even the sand. Some of these things, for instance, like sand, where the problem is cost of transportation. Because sand is not imported. But this is rainy season. So like one of those people said, the dredgers have to go with canoes out to go and dredge. But when the rains, subside, you will see that, of course, the prices will drop. But if the price of transportation does not drop, then even if the price of sand comes down, there will still be, still that marginal increase. So the problem is that, even in the US, for instance, right now, price of plywood have gone high. But, efforts are being made to bring down these prices by next year. So there must be deliberate effort for government to make sure that these prices come down. Because even you also have the problem of dealers. They put in so much money, bring out cement, and then now adjust these prices according to their own whims and caprices. Sometimes they even make it scarce, make products scarce, so that when people keep demanding, and you now say, okay, no, we've added 500. Somebody who has a project and doesn't want things to go bad, he will just, okay, bring it, add the 500, bring it. And then who loses at the end of the day? And then the quality, what about the quality of blocks? Quality of blocks, many people are now even producing blocks by themselves, hand-molded. How, as against vibrated. What is the quality of the block? What is the measurement? A block that's supposed to be, 225 mm by 225 mm. What is it getting to that measurement? Are we getting the measurement?
People cutting corners.
Look at even pipes. Look at even the plumbing pipes. There's the one they call biscuit pipes. Those ones can break easily. Before you know what's happening, when you pump water in your house, it will leak. You'll be wondering, where is this water disappearing to? It's maybe pressure. earth shifting, the earth shifting, pressure has burst the pipe. So you want to buy the very good one, it's 3,008 for 4 mm. So a lot of all these things, what do landlords do? They just shift, property owners and they just shift the cost to the people who rent them. And at the end of the day, poverty remains a vicious cycle.
Poverty circulates.
Yes, so government needs to look at all this. It's not that these things, the problems are not surmountable. Yes, we know COVID did its own, but moving into 2022, that will be more than a year after, the lockdown has been lifted. There must be deliberate effort, and then again, clearing goods at the ports is still a problem. It's still a problem. So when somebody has to pay demurrage because his goods have been at the ports for some time, the person will just simply shift the cost to the buyers.
It's as if everything, with this double-digit inflation rates, it has affected everything. So it's not just building materials alone, and it's telling on everything.
Everything, and it's making living in our country brutish, making life difficult. You see, it's unfortunate that I have to say this. People see you on TV, they think you have so much money. The pressure...
I tell you that people slide into my DM every day.
The pressure is huge. There are some messages that you get. You are forced to do something because you know that clearly this person is in serious distress. You are forced to do something. We can't talk about those things.
I'm telling you.
We can't talk about the extent to which people pile pressure for you to assist them. The moment you begin as a Christian or as a good Muslim, the moment you begin to say, oh, this person disturbed me, this person, I gave this person money, the reward that God ought to give you, you've lost it. So there are many things that people do, not me alone, not you alone, not Emeka alone, that people do just to save some people from embarrassment or unnecessary hunger. That's to tell you how bad things are in our country. And I won't be surprised if now students will soon resume.
School fees.
School owners, because inflation does not spare anyone, school owners too have a way of increasing school fees in line with prevailing economic conditions in our country. So it's terrible. There has to be measures taken by government to drive down prices. Drive down prices, make life more bearable for our people. It just has to happen. Yes. No one is saying, you created all of these problems, this and that. But what we are saying is, government has a responsibility to make life more bearable for the Nigerian people. How they want to do it, how they want to do it is up to them.
There are many options.
But if we don't do it, the number of people who are poor will keep expanding. If we don't do it, the vicious poverty cycle in our country will keep expanding. That is just the truth. We just have to tell ourselves the truth. People are going through a lot in our country, Ayo. A lot. People are going through a lot. They may not be shouting about it, but it's an inner pain. It's an inner pain that a lot of them are going through. Try to go to your village and stay for 3 days. You see how many people will keep coming to your house to come and ask for money. You see people who cannot pay school fees, who will come to you and say, please, I have this problem. How can you help me? Even when you go to church, outside of the church, people are waiting for you for one favor or another. People are going through a lot.
Some are asking for just 1,000 naira.
People are going through a lot.
To eat the next meal.
See, pay attention when you are driving to work sometimes. You see people trekking. If you are caught up in traffic, you see, it could be a young girl. You now imagine where you first saw her trekking. That girl could be trekking up to 2 kilometers. In traffic, just monitor. Begin to do it today. You see, you would think that she's just enjoying this road. No. They don't have money. And she's trekking. People are going through a lot. People can't eat. Even when they want to eat, they can't eat what they want to eat. I've been told that even yam now, these days, they slice yam into many parts because it's difficult for our people to buy one tuber of yam.
Yes.
Yam is so expensive. People want to eat it now. It was one of our senior management staff here that told me, and she even snapped the picture. She have seen something
tuber of yam
sliced into like 4 places,
so that people can afford it.
Yes.
If a tuber is 1,500 or 2,000.
Sachet milk, you know, they started it. When people could not afford the big, what did they do?
Small
They started doing the small ones. It was in the 80s and 90s,
It
even the early
big.
2000s, there was nothing like that. They are coming down to the level so that the very poor will be able to afford sachet milk. So you now have sachet milk so small. So that is what we are going through. I just hope that government can do its best to bring about change, because the pain on our people is so unbearable.
So much.
All right.